video's title is not clickbait. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. Gamers who are faint of heart should close this video immediately, for I'll be talking about Pokemon The Nightmares of Pokemon Run and Bun. Pokemon Run and Bun is a ROM hack of Pokemon Emerald, made by legendary Nuzlocker Dekzeh, the genius of whom being only matched by the elegance of his beard. Dekzeh has made what the Nuzlocke community's brightest minds mostly agree is the hardest Pokemon game that still makes sense to Nuzlocke if you're degenerate enough. How hard is this game? Well, look at this lovely brawly team. This team includes threats like Speed Boost Combuskin, Retaliate Lopunny, and Eviolite Scraggy. And at this moment, I know what some of you are thinking. This might be a tough team, but it's by no means the scariest Gym 2 the world has ever seen, right? And as a matter of fact, you would be right if this was the second gym. But ladies and gentlemen, Brawly in this game is now the first gym you fight as opposed to the second. What about Roxanne though? Well, Roxanne has now been promoted to second gym leader, and here's her team. Yes, that thing is a Zygarde, 10% on the second gym, and don't let a legendary distract you from the fact that there's a B-Sharp, Refrigerator Rorus, Weakness Policy Lunatone, and more to make sure you never make past her alive. Moreover, this game has hundreds of fights, so much that a single attempt of this will take months, assuming the attempt makes it to late game. And with all that being said, I will try one attempt of a Run and Bun Nuzlocke, our goal being to get one badge in this unforgiving hell of a video game. I start my journey by getting out of the infamous truck and picking up a starter to save Professor Birch. In this game, the starters are changed to be the Sinnoh ones instead of the Hoenn ones, which is cool given how notoriously good that trio is. The community's consensus is that all starters are viable choices, and whichever one of them you pick is mostly a question of personal preference and style of play. I was in a Turtwig mood, which in this game gets shell armor for critical hit protection. After beating what is not a Galarian Zigzagoon as well as the first May fight, I am allowed to catch our first set of encounters. I thus get myself Litleo, Growlithe with Intimidate, Execute, Natu, and Finian by virtue of fishing and Littleroot. Finian is pretty tragic given how I could have gotten Surskit, which somehow managed to be one of the best early game encounters ever in this game, but everything else is actually pretty decent. I also get an infinite supply of rare candies as well as a talkable infinite repel as one of the many quality of life improvements offered by this game, which include being able to see your Pokemon IV straight in the Pokemon summary section. The game also enforces a level cap for not only the gym leaders, but many other trainers as well, limiting the potential of beating people up through overleveling. After beating a few warm-up guys, I am met with the mighty Lastina and her two metronome Pokemon. Swirlix is easy enough to beat, but Spinda has decent bulk. I try to use Turtle to at least never get crit. I get hit by Gastro Acid though, which nullifies the ability, but I answer that by simply switching out and in again. This time around though, the Spinda lands a sand tube, trapping the turtle with it, then a drill peck for damage. Then as I pray not to get owned by a stupid Spinda, it metronomes again and rolls a head smash, which somehow survives on 1 HP and gets the kill with Absorb. So far, so good? Reaching Petalburg, I fish up a Lotad in the city and get a Beedrill in the route to the east, which also manages to be considered a great encounter as bugs are at a premium in Run and Bun early game, and Mega Beedrill, which you get access to much later, is a very fast offensive threat. I beat Triathlete Mikey, who is fairly easy as long as you equip some Oran Berries. Then is Fisherman Darien, who has a scary team of two Magikarps, one with Choice Band Bounce and the other with Hydro Pump Flail Focus Sash to troll unassuming Nuzlockers, but that is not as scary when you're prepared. Next up though is Lady Cindy and her Attract strategies. In this game, Attract works regardless of gender, making it an actually annoying style to play against, especially when coupled with paralysis and flinching. But through careful switching and some good old-fashioned luck, I pulled through. You may have noticed that our level cap has been of 12, and that would be to match the biggest hurdle to the run so far. The first Aqua Grunt at the entrance of Petalburg Woods and his team of a Carvanha with massive coverage belch Select Krogunk and Harvest Execute. Turtwig manages to beat the Carvanha 1v1 despite it having a poison move. Krogunk is next. I switch to Natu and carefully work around not triggering the Select Berry and allowing Belch to be used by using Nightshade for chip, then Confusion to kill. Last is Execute. I go to my own Execute, not realizing the Poison Powder does not work on grass types, and then opting for Hypnosis strats. I then go to Beedrill and click the super effective move for the kill, winning us the battle and raising our level cap to 17. Instead of allowing the player in the woods, the game has you take the boat to Dewford right away. In Dewford, I catch Makuhita. I also catch a Remoraid to the east and are ready to deal with the few trainers guarding Granite Cave, most noteworthy of which is Ruin Maniac Georgie, which is a team featuring Sticky Web Dweeble and Belly Drum Munchlax. Yikes. Finian manages to one-shot the dreaded Sticky Web setter, inviting Munchlax in. I chip it with Water Pulse, but it does way less damage than I anticipated, only for the guy to Belly Drum. I hope that Grotle can take 1+6 headbutt. And it does, finishing the threat off with Razor Leaf. Mawile then easily falls to Growlithe and Sandcastle to Lombre. I proceed to deliver the letter to Steven, making sure not to get our encounter there. Apparently, the meta for this route is to wait until I get the Route 110 encounter, which may be a Pokemon with the ability Static. If I have such a Pokemon, I have now a 1 in 2 chance for Togedemaru, a notoriously good Pokemon in this hack. Before worrying about that though, I have a few trainers to get through in the beach, but I at least get to fish up a Krabby before then, which also happens to have Shell Armor for more crit protection and synergy with Intimidate. The beach trainers, outside of the funny bug catcher guy with choice items, all require some preparation to do safely as they have Pokemon with good coverage or decently high attacking stats for this point in the game. There are a few Pokemon that hit every single Pokemon I have for super effective damage, but with good planning and using Shell Armor Turtle properly, I managed to get there in one piece. In Slateport, I fished the luckiest encounter so far, a Horsey. See, there are two things to note about a Horsey in this game. First, it evolves into Seadra before the Brawly level cap, making it a lot more useful for the gym leader, but more importantly, it has a chance of holding Dragon Scale. In this game, Dragon Scale works like an evolution stone that will evolve Seadra into Kingdra without trading. What this means is that if you get lucky enough, you will have a Kingdra for the first gym, which I did! This thing also happens to have Hidden Power Dragon, which is decently useful stab, but all of that will only be on the table once I beat the next challenge, Museum Grunts. Much like in the vanilla game, the player will have to fight 2 Augur Grunts back to back in the Slateport Museum. However, those grunts are, to put it mildly, a bit more prepared than their vanilla counterparts, with a total of 6 very annoying Pokemon using a lot of Protect and Poison strats and good stats to boot. This duo is the first genuine hurdle to experience Run and Bun runners. And Bunners? Looking at our option, I decide the best team I can assemble for this is Growlithe, Grotle, Natu, Krabby, Lombre, and Beedrill. I lead Growlithe to intimidate the Murkrow, then go Krabby for Shell Armor. I try to Bubble Beam, but it does much less damage than I thought. If you want to have any success at this game, you better calc every single Pokemon on every single fight. Still, I use Krabby to chip the Crow as much as possible and get a Bubble Beam speed drop in the process, which is huge, allowing us to go Growlithe and cover for the kill. Next is Skrelp. I switch to Beedrill to avoid any status shenanigans and proceed to brawl one-on-one for as much as possible. Seeing I cannot beat it with B, I go Lombre and get Poison, then to Natu as it protects. Natu kills with Confusion. Last is Turtoga. I click Confusion for more than half health, which for once I did calc, and get Toxic, but a Pecha Berry cures Natu as it goes for the kill with another Confusion. Next is Frillish, and our plan was kinda using Lombre, but I kinda stupidly got a Poison on the first fight, making it vulnerable to boosted Hex, so I go Grotto instead, who manages to cover the mistake quite decently. Lastly, Whirlipede comes in. I go Growlithe for both Intimidate and super effective fire moves, and thankfully don't get crit by Rollout. I have barely survived even though Grotto is the best starter for this fight, specifically as Monferno and even Piplup users will have a much harder time countering this largely water-type squad with how little the game gives them. But I get spared this time and my cap moves up to 21. After finding an annoying camper Gavin and his threatening team, I get access to Route 110's encounter, which turns out to be a Luxio. No static guy, but Luxio has Intimidate and is a helpful good boy. Moreover, I get a rare candy, which may make you wonder why the heck would Dekzeh, assisted by his magnificent beard, put rare candies in a game that offers infinite candies right off the bat? Well, there's an interesting gimmick to these candies. They allow you to level up past the level cap, potentially unlocking new moves and even evolutions at the cost of burning through a limited resource. I also go back to Granite Cave and get a Cafant with minimum attack. Nice. Now, I will not be going in length on the gym trainers for the sake of keeping the video short and sweet, but each of them has a team that's not only on par with actual vanilla gym leader or even harder, but also designed to snowball quickly should you allow things to go south. Things like Poison Hill Breloom, Reversal Mankey, Bulk Up Leftovers Machoke. I still managed to get there in one piece, but each of these fights was quite frustrating to plan for and make sure nothing went wrong in. Now, time for Brawly. This team is tough. I don't have as many resources. I use our rare candy to level up Natu to 21, making it a Xatu, which should beat the Hitmontop if set up correctly. I also have Krabby to Aqua Jet Lopunny to get its eject button buff before it hits a retaliate, and have solid checks at everything else outside of the mighty Scraggy, but a team of Lumineon, Krabby, Kingdra, Xatu, Luxio, and Cuffant should do it, right? I lead Lumineon and crit for the first air cutter, then hit a gust. The plan is to kill with Krabby to bait Lopunny, I Aqua Jet, and I messed up the calcs and thus the crab dies. This has our plan entirely out the window and I'm now fully on steering mode, as the kids say. Luxio beats Khufu, Rabbit is next. I use switching strats to weather the storm and to have it go away with the button. Xatu chips the button with Drill Peck before fainting and allows Kingdra to kill. Lopunny is back, and I sustained way too much damage to neuter it, meaning I have very little in the way of beating Poliwhirl that chips us down considerably, allowing for a tragic Scraggy finish and ending our run. I was quite optimistic I would get the one badge, and I was most of the way there, getting to the deal unscathed, but Brawly proved to be too strong and our preparation too lackluster. But this was a very fun challenge. Now, there is no way anyone can convince me to ever try doing a full run of this game, and with the amount of dedication and skill shown by the few people who actually managed this, and even those who came close and still are yet to finish a run of this monstrous game. As always, like and subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments below if there are any other games you'd like to see. Have a great one.